Angela, and welcome to my channel. I'm not used to doing things live or unscripted, so I may fumble a little bit. Thank you for your patience in advance. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and see, here I go. Please be sure to like my... Hello everyone, this is Angela and welcome to my channel. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notifications bell so you will know whenever I upload any new content. Okay, on Friday in the US, a controversial decision was made to overturn Roe v. Wade, the federal support that overrides any state restrictions for abortion. This means that as of June 24th, 2022, individual states have the right to decide whether or not to allow safe access to abortions in a clinical setting performed by physicians. And of course, most states have responded in a plethora of ways, ranging from California, where late-term abortions will be allowed, to Ohio, where it has to happen no later than 6 weeks, to Texas, where it will be considered a felony and a physician can potentially face a life term in prison for performing it. So what is it going to look like now for women, especially, who live in a society where it's common for adverse, life-altering, or even life-ending situations to occur upon being in a relationship with a man who they thought that was the one? So let's get into it. The questions that we will cover today and potentially the responses that will be received are going to be sensitive in nature. For this reason, I felt it was a good time for me to express exactly what is the core of my belief, since the footprint of religion is on the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I practice a spirituality that was common in ancient Egypt. This means that I believe in a benevolent creator who sees each and every one of us in the same passionate and loving manner that an artist views their artistry. I see this one entity, if I may say that, as one who embodies both feminine and masculine energies, who appears as a god or a masculine expression in certain instances, and also appears as a goddess or feminine expression in different instances. My personal experience in knowing the Creator as one who finds enjoyment in her creation and manifests himself in a multitude of ways, or what is commonly known as deities. I never thought of God as an exclusively male entity with magical powers who resides behind a cloud in heaven, someone who is waiting to strike us down with a bolt of lightning if we make a mistake. That said, when I personally consult the oracles, I believe that the benevolent creator is who is responding. However, I am never attempting to tell people to be like me. We are all as unique as our fingerprints, and that is a good thing. I respect the backgrounds of everyone who is watching because I personally understand that the creator, from my perspective, may have inspired you in one of her or his many forms. Okay, this channel is never going to attempt to influence people into what I personally follow. I do not proselytize. What I do is offer information from a different point of view. The responses coming from the oracles have personally helped me over the years, and as a diviner, I am just simply sharing it all with you. Please understand that I am a diviner. I consult oracles and interpret the responses. I am not the one who is giving the response. So if you're not in a place where you can entertain the questions or the responses, then you are free to tune in at a later time. For those of you who are still here, thank you, and I ask that you please at least watch the video from start to finish before reacting, and once again, thank you. There are many different oracles, and each oracle is as different as people are as individuals. So are the responses of the oracles. Some people are more direct in their communication, while others may be more diplomatic. The Medu Neter oracle tends to be direct and straight to the point, the type of response that holds no punches, if I may. The I Ching, however, tends to be a bit more diplomatic. However, just as if you ask 20 different people about their observation of one event, you are likely to get 20 different angles on the truth. Well, oracles and tarot are the same exact way. They all tell the truth in their own way. So with that understanding, let's just go ahead and get into it. The first oracle that I consulted was the Medu Neter Oracle, and it provided a response of Sebek Tim Ma'at and Oset Tim Ma'at. Okay, some of you may know or recognize Sebek as Anubis in the Greek. And Sebek's energy is a masculine energy. It is involved in reasoning and logic. He represents education, also the left side of the brain. If you ever heard the expression in quotes that experience is the best teacher, well, Sebek is the teacher. Sebek is the experience, and this is the realm of Sebek. He is the one that's giving you those experiences. He is also symbolic of intersections, travel, roads, or paths to get you from one situation to another. So as it pertains to the human experience, you are here at an intersection trying to figure out which way to go. This card also has circles on it, which represents the height of an obstacle. So imagine that you can be on a trail and it can be without obstacles. On this card, these circles would not be colored in. Okay? But in this instance, all of the circles are colored in. It is indicative of a huge obstacle, and coming from the energy of Sebek, it is saying that this is the wrong way. Also, Sebek is a bit of a trickster or a prankster or a game player. From a spiritual perspective, it can be positive to teach one to always be on guard against ignorance, because Sebek is always playing little tricks to catch you off guard. But those tricks that he plays on you and the lessons that you learn help to keep you on guard against ignorance. Okay, but as it pertains to this question about abortion, Sebek is in the negative position. This is a symbolic. This is symbolic of tricks that have been played. It is also symbolic of lies that have been told. So what this is showing is that it is the masculine, or in this case, for an example, teen boys, and I say teen boys who are who've gone through puberty. Okay, men of various ages who are causing this wrong direction to be taken. That this is coming from the masculine side. Now, before I go any further, this isn't about men versus women, and you'll see that as we go on. This is about something much more bigger and actually much more sinister, and we'll get into that as time goes on. Okay, so this is a challenge to the common narrative that women are seeking a way to avoid being held accountable for the outcome of having unprotected intimacy. Okay, well, Sebek's appearance here says that the narrative is a lie because the masculine card showed up first. This is who is driving the abortions. This is who should be held liable for setting the ball in motion for abortions to occur, not the women, and especially not underage girls. It is because of their tricks, their pranks, their games, their lies, that they are at an intersection in their life upon hearing the news that the woman or the girl that they were being intimate with is now pregnant. It is in the past, fathers, brothers, uncles, and other male relatives will force a weak and unaccountable man like this into what is known as a shotgun wedding and hold him accountable to the girl or woman who he's impregnated while making him raise his own child. So what this is saying is that abortion actually became a way out of a situation, more so for the men than the women. Just to be clear, because the weak and unaccountable masculine has held a loud microphone for a long time. This is not a situation of men against women. This is a situation of a weak and unaccountable masculine versus true masculinity. And the feminine has been tossed back and forth between them. Just as the strong and accountable masculine would force the weak trickster into a shotgun wedding in the olden times, It will still take the strong and accountable and healthy version of the masculine to check the weaker, game playing, lying, and incomplete, weaker masculine. This is not a woman's fight. Okay, this is not the fight of the feminine. That's what this first card is saying. So let me go to the second card. Okay, the next card that presents itself is Aset Ma'at. Many of you may recognize Aset as Isis. Aset is the energy that is involved with motherhood, pregnancy, the womb. This is a feminine energy. She is often seen holding her infant son Haru, or some of you may recognize him as Horus in the Greek. Okay, Haru represents the power of the will, and Aset is the one who nurtures it. She is the one that gives it strength from its infancy. There is this geometric thing that sits atop Aset's head. This is a throne. What it represents is that she is the power of the throne. Her element is water. If a place does not have water, if a city's water supply dries up, it cannot support human life. Well, just like water is essential to life, Aset's power is so essential that without her power there is no civilization. She also represents the masses. Going back to Aset's association with water, particularly the ocean is filled with treasures to help one to survive. You can find food from seaweed or kelp to fish of various species in order to feed your family. You can find other items such as pearls and clams. There's gold that is being mined from the ocean floor and so forth. One can even build a ship and sail the ocean to trade goods from one part of the world to the other. So what this is saying is that there is a blockage to the true essence of the feminine, or a woman who knows her true spiritual power. That is her own ability as defined by the Creator. You are not meant to be the version of femininity that a weakened and unaccountable version of masculine male or a debauched version of the feminine is telling you to be. So basically, the Aset card in the Ten Ma'at position is showing you that abortion is the wrong way to handle your power. Aset deals with visions. So what this is saying is that seeing yourself as an oppressed victim is the wrong way to handle the situation when in fact you are the ruler. When you understand just who you are and the true extent of your power, you will have armies fighting on your behalf to protect you, holding the weak and masculine accountable for any wrongs committed against you. So open your eyes, use your vision, look into the mirror, see yourself as you are. You have the power, use it. The resources will be there for you, even if an army must raid on your behalf to get it from those who have offended you. Now, before I go any further, I want to make something clear. The energies are masculine and feminine. However, they are not limited to being expressed by either a man or women. A woman can have the attributes of Sebek, a masculine energy, just like a man can have the attributes of Aset, a feminine energy. I wanted to ensure that you don't think that each energy means man or woman. That's why, in addition to speaking at length about the weakened masculine, I also included the debauched feminine that hurts other women for their personal gains. I just want to be sure that's clear. So let's go to the I Ching for the question about abortion. Okay, now remember, the Medu Neter is cut and dry, straight to the point. Okay, the I Ching tends to be more diplomatic. So the I Ching is giving hexagram number 20 with the first line stressed. And whenever there is a stress line with the hexagram, it changes it into another hexagram. And in this case, it changes it into number 8. So let's break down the first hexagram. The 6 lines into the 2 trigrams, or a set of 3 lines each that it is composed of. Okay. The first trigram at the bottom is a set of 3 yin lines as depicted here. This is the trigram representing the earth. From the perspective of the I Ching, the earth is like a womb that various things grow from, and its population is nurtured from what the earth yields. So you see two different oracles. And they both are showing a response regarding the womb. The nurturing aspect is similar to Osset, who is nurturing her infant son as before. So this symbol is representative of a mother in a family and also speaks to motherhood. The next trigram, representing thunder, sits atop the earth. Wind, from the perspective of the I Ching, also represents the first daughter or the eldest daughter. In this instance, the stress lies with the eldest daughter and her journey into womanhood, into becoming a wife and a mother, because one misstep can have an adverse effect not only on her own life, but permanently change the trajectory for the lives of at least the next 2 generations, her own children and her grandchildren. So these two trigrams, when placed together, form hexagram number 20, and that is one of contemplation. Hexagram 20 represents contemplation. So it is an instruction on introspection and how to appreciate the influence that small things can have over big things. For instance, a drop of water is harmless. However, when given time, it can erode and shape rocks. Likewise, a moment of intimacy, such as the holding of hands, the kiss on the cheek, and eventually the lips, the rubbing of the back, and eventually the rubbing of more intimate places, can lead to events that can shape the rest of your life and the lives of others. So it is best to contemplate every action, no matter how small and insignificant each may appear, and take into account the impact that it will have on everyone. A child can cost, on average, $275,000 within 18 years, and that does not include the cost of college tuition. That will be over $1,200 per month for the next 18 years. Given the question and the response from the I Ching, this is an instruction on how to avoid being placed in a situation where abortion is contemplated. Avoid the holding of hands. Avoid the kiss on the cheek. Avoid the rubbing of the back without first having a full commitment between each person and full preparation of what these little actions, the kiss on the cheek and the holding of hands, those little actions can bring forth. Okay. The first line of hexagram number 20 is stressed because it brings attention to the contemplation of life, particularly taking accountability and seeing the bigger picture. What will this one moment in time mean for the rest of your life? Will you end up in prison in the case of dealing with an underage girl or boy? Will you end your marriage and be placed into decades of paying child support and alimony? Will you have a lifetime of being shunned by those who once trusted you? Are you prepared to tell your child that their father was a married man and you were his mistress? Are you prepared to tell your children that they have a sibling born from another woman while you were married to their mother? If you are not prepared for that, then don't engage. Before you unzip your pants or lift up your skirt, think about it. This is what the first line is stating. So whenever there is a stressed line in a hexagram, it represents another hexagram, which in this case is hexagram number 8. This hexagram is titled Uniting. This hexagram shows that people who are on the opposite sides of the spectrum will unite. So given the nature of the question, there will be a period of turbulence when inconvenient truths will be exposed, and the outcome from the big picture of it all will be a uniting. There will be people who pushed for the end of Roe v. Wade, those on the pro-life side of things, who will be exposed for seeking services in places where abortion is still legal. This may not bring back the federal protections of Roe v. Wade, but it will certainly open everyone's eyes to the truth of dealing with the very destructive nature of the weakened masculine energy and the corrupted feminine energy. Dating and courtship patterns will change because people are going to be contemplating very heavily the outcome of their decisions. There are going to be more people looking beyond financial stability and into areas such as psychological or emotional stability. time availability to interact with the family, and so forth. People will be thinking about those kinds of issues as deciding factors on whether or not to form a union with a person that will produce children. So that's it for the question regarding abortion itself. Let's move on to the second question, which is specifically about the overturning of Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court. So when I consulted the Meduneter Oracle, it provided a response of Het Haru Tim Ma'at and Dark Deceased Tim Tachayas. Let me explain the Het Haru side of it first, and then I will go on to explain the Dark Deceased. Het Haru may be known as Hathor by some of you. Het Haru's energy is feminine, and like Auset's energy from before, deals with pregnancy, deals with motherhood. However, her energy is more so attached to sensuality. She deals with everything that is pleasant and delightful. Whenever you see something that is beautiful, this is the work of Het Haru. Het Haru's energy deals with young women. Like in the previous question with the hexagram, I pointed out the first daughter, who is typically seen as a younger woman. When her energy is on the positive side, it deals with celebrations like weddings and birthday parties or any other type of party, socialization, song and dance, laughter. She is the matron deity of the arts and entertainment. So professions like acting, costume making, beauticians and barbers, anyone that deals with dressing up someone, making up someone, like makeup artists, interior decorators, landscapers to some extent even, and so forth, are under the influence of Het Haru. So what this reading is showing is a blockage to the delightful side of Het Haru as a result of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. This will impact the arts and the entertainment industries that deal with socialization. Less people are going to be willing to go on dates, so nightclubs, restaurants, places that host events will begin to feel the effect of the overturning of Roe versus Wade, because people, especially women, will not be willing to hang out and get to know someone like what was once common, because they're thinking about what if somebody slips something in my drink, and I wake up and next thing I know I've been assaulted and I can't do anything about it. So the next card that comes up is the Dark Deceased card. The Dark Deceased card represents a disturbed ancestor. Oftentimes when we hear of someone passing, after giving our condolences to our loved ones, most of us will say, may they rest in peace. We visit our loved ones' graves to place flowers and wreaths or whatever we put on there to honor their memory, right? So these types of actions are attempts on our parts to allow their spirits to be at rest and comfort on the other side of life. So what happens when they are disturbed? You are dealing with an energy that no longer has a body. So they are not limited to what they can do. It's unlimited. They don't need to sleep. They don't need food, and they can appear in your dreams. They can do things to let you know that they are in disapproval or whatever it is that is going on at the moment. So as it pertains to this reading, the Het Haru Tim Ma'at combined with the Dark Deceased Tim Tachayas means that this was not the way to go about ensuring the delightful expression of women that is charming and graceful while guaranteeing offspring for generations to come. This was not the way to handle women. So the Dark Deceased, those disturbed ancestors, let's go through examples of who they represent. The unwanted children that were aborted, the mothers of the children who were taken out by men such as former North Carolina Panthers football player Ray Caruth, who took out Sharika Adams for choosing to have his baby instead of having an abortion. Those women such as Lacey Peterson, who was pregnant when Scott Peterson deleted her. Jessica Covington, who was pregnant at the time and deleted by the father of her child while she was returning from her own baby shower. These are the disturbed ancestors who will, from the other side of life, deal with those who have failed to hold the weakened masculine accountable for their misdeeds. Also, the debauched and corrupt feminine too. So, the universe is not endorsing abortion. I just want to make sure that this is clear. However, what it is saying based on the response is that the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the true premise by which it was overturned, the real reason that the all-seeing eye of the Creator can see, was wrong. Blaming women and putting the liability on them for the outcome of an environment that was headed by the weak and masculine literally for centuries, that produced entitled mass shooters, that produced rapists, that produced wife beaters and deadbeat dads, that tolerated incest and turned a blind eye to early marriage, was wrong. Sweeping the consequences of injustices that were sustained by institutional inequality has led to a shrinking population. So now there are not enough people to keep the economy strong for the next generations to come. And sweeping this underneath the skirt of women collectively is wrong. This is not the way to deal with the shortcomings that an oppressed feminine did not create. It goes back to accountability. So the benevolent tends to cut straight to the point with no chasers and yields direct responses. And basically it's saying, no, okay, I'm the creator of the universe. I don't endorse abortion, but I also don't think it's right for you to hide away from the accountability and throw that mess onto the woman's dress. That's wrong. That's dead wrong. This was not the way to handle it. So that's what the benevolent is saying about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Okay, so here's the response from the I Ching Oracle. It is hexagram number 2, and in the I Ching there are a few hexagrams that are called doubled hexagrams. So this one is a doubling of the Earth hexagrams. There are 2 trigrams, or 2 sets of 3 lines apiece, and this trigram represents Earth, okay, and this trigram and this trigram are on top of each other, so this is a doubling of the trigrams, okay. So the Earth represents the mother, okay, and this isn't the instruction about everything that is feminine. So it is as if the I Ching, if it was an actual person, it would be saying to everyone who overturned Roe versus Wade that, here, this is the woman. You know, this is how you should view her. You should be generous. You should be patient. You should be kind. She takes all situations and create a harvest with it, just like the earth does. She is resourceful and she is filled with She is resourceful and she is filled with wealth, just like the earth. Just like the earth, the conditions for reaping a harvest, or in this case, bringing forth a child, has to be correct in order for the earth or the woman to yield. So when you plant a seed into the ground, there has to be other resources in correct order from the earth's perspective, okay, for the seed to be able to sprout into a crop or into a tree that bears fruit. You may have to amend the soil to add more phosphorus, or otherwise the crop will fail. You may have to add fertilizer or the crop will fail. Okay, likewise, the conditions have to be in the correct order from the woman's perspective for the woman to yield children, or the nation will fail. The 6th line of the second hexagram is stressed. And what it means is that there's frost on the ground. Just like you cannot plant crops in the winter and expect for there to be a yield by spring or summer or even fall. What the I Ching is advising is pretty much like, look, listen, everything happens in its own time, and when it comes to women and having children, it is no different than properly planting the field for a crop. You have not been treating the soil and preparing it properly for you to have an ample harvest. You have been pissing in the grass, littering the field, and polluting the groundwater. Likewise, with women, you have been dismissing their feminine input for ages, and now you are here, and you're wondering why they are not yielding. It was just in 1994 that you took the Violence Against Women seriously and enacted the Violence Against Women Act. If that is not a slap in the face, it now has to be reauthorized in 2022. They are still fighting for equal pay for equal work. The earth has the potential to yield many riches, and if not treated right, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do by not yielding. Likewise, women will yield children in every direction when the conditions are correct. When time and the conditions are not correct, then she is doing exactly what she is supposed to do by not yielding. Round peg, square hole. It's as simple as that. You cannot force a fit. Likewise, you cannot force femininity out of its natural state to meet your demands. It's just as simple as that. So if the I Ching was a person, this is what the I Ching would be saying to them. So moving along to the 24th hexagram, which represents a turning point. Let's take a look at the symbol for the turning point just for a second. Do you see what I see? It looks like someone that is crossing their legs. Now let's take a look at the hexagrams. Here's what the second hexagram looks like, pure without any stress lines. It almost looks like the entryway to the womb. Now here's how it appears when the sixth line is stressed. And when a line is stressed, this means that it changes to another hexagram. So here is hexagram number 2, and now hexagram number 24. So from a pictorial standpoint, there is a blockage to the womb. Now in this instance, the oracle has something to express to the women. That is, you should have never been placed into a position where you had to make such a devastating decision for the sake of your life. By that I mean you should not have been mistreated, oppressed, abandoned, or any of the reasons that typically bring them to the doorstep of the abortion clinic. However, this is a recognition that you did what your feminine energy guided you to do, and that was to be protective of your unborn child by not bringing him or her into harsh conditions. However, you were not meant to decimate a part of who you are because of a weakened masculinity and its sidekick, the corrupt feminine. The I Ching is not approving of abortion because it is a life that is created by God. However, it is understanding in its response that you should have never been placed here to begin with. It is not your fault that you lived in an oppressed state where your very essence was seen as a joke. What you can do is block your womb, and this will cause everything to turn around to the way that it should be. It will force the strong masculine to hold the weak masculine accountable, which will in turn oust the corrupt feminine as well. So those are the first two questions that I asked of the Medu Neter and the I Ching. I will upload the next two questions soon, so stay tuned. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click the notifications bell so you will know whenever I upload any new videos. Until next time, take care.